welcome to the Toffee Blues, your source for all things Everton. This is the match reaction for Everton 0, Tottenham Hotspur 0. It's frustrating, really. That's the sort of the final feel of this game, that we didn't win the game, but loads of positives here. A couple of VAR incidents to touch upon, but it felt like Everton have got a bit more fight about them, this team, than perhaps we even thought they did have. So pre-game, there was a lot of, for me personally, watching that Wolves performance the other night, there was a lot of apathy, really. It was hard to feel emotional about the game, even when we were conceding the goals. It just felt like, I've seen it all before. Where's this Everton team going to go? Perhaps the players are not good enough. And the feeling is, for me, that it's not necessarily the manager's fault. Although there was a lot of criticism his way, going on social media and things like that. I don't think it's necessarily his fault. It was, are these players good enough or not? But it's up to him to get the best out of them. And I thought today he changed shape a little bit to counteract the problem we had in the middle of the park, where Gabaman played against Wolves, and there was a lot of space. If we tried to go forward, there was a lot of space in behind. So he's put Delph, who played great the other night, he put him in. Gordon, we wanted to see him, he was in there, so he sort of reacted well. So the team news was okay. Yeah, it's a positive feeling there. It was more of a 4-1 out of possession, with Delph just screening in front and allowing Andros Townsend and Alan to push on a little bit more in the press. And I think that security of just having that player, who we haven't really had since Garner Gay, thinking back further than that, Lee Carsley, that player who will just screen there and just happy to stay there. And Delph did that brilliantly today. Lots of interceptions, calm on the ball, and he seemed to be a spare man in there, which helped with those interceptions to stop the balls getting into Harry Kane and so on. So it was a positive start to the game. I thought we were much more aggressive. I think Godfrey being at centre back was another worry. I felt he's been poor even there. I thought the other night him at left back might have got him out the way of being a problem defensively, but he actually obviously played in Jimenez for their goal. So Godfrey at centre back, for me, a worry again. But straight away in the start of this game, the intensity, I think Godfrey was a good example of it. He snapped straight into Son. He was aggressive into Harry Kane, straight into them, not allowing them to turn. Really showing that aggression, which I think the fans appreciated. Really, that sort of more of an aggressive style performance today from ourselves. I think at one point, Godfrey early on, he won the ball higher up the pitch by this stepping out, not being afraid to step out, because they've got some decent players, Tottenham, in there. So it was brave, but it was on the front foot, and I think that's what we've been missing from Everton. The West Ham performance was very passive. But Godfrey won the ball high up, drove to the edge of the penalty area, had a shot, pretty simple for Lloris to save. But it was good. It was a lot more positive. I think we were looking compact when Spurs had the ball. We did allow them quite a bit of the ball early on, but we were pressing a lot higher. So Spurs' goal kicks, Lloris was taking them, and the options were cut off early, and they wanted to play from the back, and we weren't allowing it. And it had a little bit of joy. Remember Damari Gray winning the ball in a central area, nothing came of it, but it was winning the ball high up in their pitch was the best chance of us, that if we were going to create chances and score a goal, which obviously we haven't today. But a really great all-round performance, I felt. There was signs of Calvert-Lewin missing a one ball. The ball was switched to Lucas Digne. He does what he likes to do. That first time volley flashed across the 6-yard box, but Richarlison was more pulled out to the penalty area, and that's where Calvert-Lewin loves to get in. So we are missing players. Doucouré, the energy, yeah, we did miss him a bit today, but the midfield, I think Townsend probably struggled in that a bit more centrally. If it wasn't him, if Doucouré was in there, maybe it would have allowed us to get higher up the pitch and show a bit more quality in the final third. But I thought that everyone was working tirelessly in there, which you need really against a side like Tottenham, because they do have quality all over that pitch. But the great intensity continued, worked the ball well down the right-hand side. I think it was Gray that pulled it back. It was just behind Richarlison, and Alan was running onto it. You think, just bang. He didn't shoot, he took a touch. He found Gray. Gray's shot was blocked, and you could hear, obviously not being at the game, but you could hear the crowd coming through the stream, that they were responding well to the Everton team, putting a bit of fight in there for a change. It's what I was feeling today. Watch this game. I don't want this apathy feeling towards Everton to continue. You want to be right up for it behind the team, and today they gave us that. They definitely gave us that. Then Gray was sort of growing into the game with a few more touches, and he did what he does. He was dancing in, and I think he went down looking for a penalty. Didn't get it. Probably the right decision, but I thought this referee today, I just don't think he had a hold of this game at all. The ref, very poor. And just as sort of we were growing in clearly with a dominant team, I felt in that half, Spurs sort of showed their teeth for the first time. Harry Kane pulls out wide on the right behind Lucas Digne, and he picks out a great ball in for Reguilon running on for them, who he's put it over. He probably could have scored, and that was just a little bit of a wake-up call to say, listen, they have got quality coming forward. We can't gamble too much. And that was the sort of half-time, the crowd's response, applause, told you what you needed to know, really, that the players, I've got the half-time notes here, great fight and desire to win, more of the same needed, but just that bit of extra composure and quality in the final third. And don't commit too much, because the defensive shape itself was working. It's not that we were happy for a point here. Spurs were clearly the side that were more happy with this point, I feel. But, not to commit too many men forward. Second half started more of the same. Demarai Gray did well. Lucas Digne, I felt, was growing into the game. So him and Demarai Gray were working it well. Gray beat his man, stood a cross up, and Anthony Gordon running onto it sliced his effort over. But Gordon did okay today. He was a bit out of the game, I felt, especially in the first half. He was growing into it a little bit. But then Spurs did start to up their tempo on the ball. They had a good 5 minutes. Ben Davies, coming from the left back position for them, cut inside and had an effort on his right foot, which Godfrey did well to get in the way of. And then we're ticking towards the hour mark then, and Fabian Delph, obviously, he's not got 90 minutes in him. He was having a great game, picking good passes, keeping it calm. He got his booking that he always gets, but he did well. So to see him coming off was a worry. Replaced by Tom Davies, who did well for the first 78 minutes against Watford, but then fell apart. So that was a bit of a worry, but I think Tom Davies did really well today when he came on. I'm going to do a player ratings video as well to probably mark him quite highly for this performance he put in today, because Delph was one of our better players, and Tom Davies fit right in, did everything Delph was doing, but even with a bit more energy going forward as well. So yeah, well done to him. But Ben Davies again had another shot over for Tottenham from distance. And then here's the first VAR incident. So to Richarlison's being played through. He's tried to take it round Lloris, and Lloris does get a hand on the ball. And the weird thing about this situation is Richarlison jumps back up and he has the ball and he can still score. He can still put it in, but the ref's given a penalty, which obviously was overturned, correctly so, but because Lloris did get a hand to it, so correct decision ultimately, but he stopped the play when Richarlison still could score, so inadvertently the ref has actually denied the goal by giving a penalty, which is just weird. And then the weird thing was on the restart, giving the ball back to Lloris. I couldn't understand that. Richarlison got the ball, Lloris is well out of his box, he's running around him, the goal's open. So how can that be the right decision? Obviously, admittedly, I'm not saying it's a penalty, but that's just one of them strange rules that's come in with VAR. Really, I sort of expected the penalty to be overturned as soon as you'd seen it. The way the contact with the ball took the ball wide, it looked like he'd got a glove on initially. So if you just allow the play to run on a little bit there, it's almost like the referee was having such a bad performance. He was trying to give us something, and he's ended up taking away our potential goal there. So it was just a ridiculous scenario, that really. But that got the atmosphere cracking, that sort of bear pit atmosphere, which it's just great. It was great to hear, really. It was what we wanted was like that last minute winner. So the eruption, obviously that hasn't happened today. But what we have got out of this game is the passion back, which has not been there the last few weeks with some really poor performances, and it's felt like more of the same. We've seen it all before. We've had seasons like this, but it was back today, and that's down to the manager and the players for putting in the shift today and trying to really take the game to Tottenham and not just allowing them to dominate. So it felt like Spurs were happy tactically to take the point. They were very, very compact. They had, when they were defending, they had 5 in a row, all within the width, 5 defenders, almost 5 centre-backs, all within the width of the penalty area. Really hard to break down, but we were trying. We were trying to switch the ball from right to left. Dean did well, linked up with Tom Davis. Great little 1-2. And then he pulled it back for Damari Gray, and that was probably the chance, really. It was only a half chance because it was hard to get in and turn Spurs around, but his side foot just didn't have enough connection on it, so that's just screwed just wide. I thought Richarlison was really becoming a menace for them. He seems to like playing against Tottenham. I sort of remember from the FA Cup last year. And he's on his own up there against a lot of defenders, and he was really growing into it, just being a nuisance as he always is, but his hold-up play was really good. I thought Dean was offering more and more as the game went on, wide left. That was the way we could have got in. But it wasn't to be. Holgate then came on for Allen, which felt like another forced change. Probably a bit of fitness with Allen's situation. So Holgate into midfield, which we've seen under the Ferguson spell as a manager that he can do, but he had a nightmare cameo here. Hard to slate him too much because he didn't have time to get up to the pace of the game, but he lost the ball in a very key area. Tottenham broke through Skip, who found Lo Celso, and his shot has hit the post. That they could have pinched it there, and there would have been that really sickening feeling because it was undeserved. It was a great effort. Pickford just beat, and he probably had it covered just. But that was Tottenham's big moment, really, which and then a minute later I think Holgate's gone right through Højbjerg pretty unnecessarily, perhaps affected by giving the ball away. He's tried to overcompensate and show a bit of something. He didn't need to do it. I mean, Holgate getting kicked, Højbjerg getting kicked, I'm not exactly worrying too much about that, but needless red card, really. I don't think we'll miss, unless for injuries, I don't think we'll miss Holgate too much, but 3 games, it's that cover. We really don't need suspensions on top of all the injuries we've got. But that sort of just made that last 5 minutes a bit... Instead of us going for it, there was that feeling of we're going to have to hold what we've got here. But to be fair, Tom Davis did try and get us going. Great little run. So I didn't even know he had that turn of pace in him to win us a corner. Came to nothing, and then down the other end, he's thrown his head in defensively, which there was no replay of it. But for a minute, I thought he'd given a penalty away, but he did really well. So ultimately, we probably deserved the win. Set up great. As a shape, I do like that 4-1-4-1. Instead of 2 holders, you've just got one holding, so he knows he's the defensive shape. Fabian Delph doing it really well, and then allowing the other midfield to try and create going forward and have a bit more energy to actually press without leaving too much of a worry in behind. So tactically, I thought that's how you set up and have a go, even at home. So enjoyed the fight, really. I think that's the main thing to take out of this. The main thing I'm taking is the fight and the passion, the energy and desire to win the game was there. And if nothing else, if there is no, if thinking before the game, is this squad good enough to break into these European positions? Maybe not. We don't know. But if they play like that and they fight like that and they work like that as a bare minimum, then they can do it. They definitely can. But it's the international break now. City away when we come back, which almost a free hit. Such a difficult place to go now. Again, it's more just like the last international break. Let's try and get some players back to fitness. Let's get Calvert-Lewin a couple of weeks further down the line, and then when we've got our players back and we can have it, we probably look like a proper side again if we can play with this desire with the team. So yeah, please give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, and look out for the player ratings video as well. Cheers, thanks very much.